So I've been sitting here trying to figure out what to talk about for far too long. And I had resistance to this when it popped up, but I also had a sacral response. So I decided that means I have to talk about it regardless. So let's get into a little bit about how I handled my relationship with my mother. Before I got on the topic of my mother in my mind, I was also thinking about the state of, imposter syndrome and not feeling like enough. And then on the opposite side of that, being afraid of success and those things holding you back. But all this really boils down to how we were treated as kids and what we were told was possible, or if we were allowed to have a voice or not. But before I can truly tackle the topics of enoughness and imposter syndrome, y'all don't know the background and the current status of my relationship with my parents. I live with my dad, and we have more of an understanding than my mom and I ever did, but we still don't understand each other. We operate completely differently, intellectually, in every fucking way possible. My mother and I have been like oil and water from the beginning. Even from birth. Like, this is the way she said it, I almost killed her when I was born. She hemorrhaged to the point of almost dying. So we've always had this point of contention built into our relationship from the beginning, where she didn't really want me there. My first episode of Spirituality with Muscle was about healing the maiden when the mother is broken. And it goes deeper into scenarios about my relationship with my mother. But recently, up in the last 2 weeks or so, it actually goes back a month, she's been begging me for more photos since she got a new phone. And I broke down, and it took me like 2 weeks to figure out to get the time to send her photos. She's not very high on my priority list, but once I finally did, I shared photos from my photo shoot in early March, which was the first time I've ever gotten photos really taken of myself professionally. And I thought in the back of my mind, she might have something positive to say or something about them. Well, Spirituality with Muscle is my podcast on Spotify. But anyway, as it is now, she and I barely speak. She doesn't have my personal phone number. We speak through an app, a phone number app. So, needless to say, it's pretty strained. But when I sent her the photos, she told me that some of them were pretty, but some of them were too much. And I got triggered because the phrase too much is something I have heard about my personality my entire life. Like, I'm just too much. So when it's somebody like your mother, it's not like you can just go, oh, if I'm too much, you go find less. It's not like that. This person who you're the reason why they exist can't accept you for who you are in any capacity. They don't even act like they want you around that much, except for if you shut up and do them favors that they directly ask you for. She had to turn around and then tell me I sent her the wrong photos. She wanted this particular set of photos. She didn't want what I sent her. She wasn't happy with them. And of course I'm frustrated, right? Because when is enough enough? And then it triggered a bunch of enoughness issues, and then a bunch of other satellite, can I even trust myself to handle more responsibility stuff? So it goes all together. So in addition to the enoughness quotient, this has to do with my feminine expression. Those photos that she didn't like were the ones that were the most girly, the most sensual looking. Those were the ones that bothered her. And I've always kept that part of myself pushed away, hidden back, because every single time I've expressed my light in full in any aspect of my personality, it's too much. I even got a complaint during the photo shoot. They threatened to kick us out because of the way my body was acting. And I kept all of my clothes on. So it's really hard for me sometimes. Oh, I don't want to cry. Hold on. We all know I've been having North Node conjunct Venus. I've talked about it. And all this other stuff in Aries is going over all of my Aries planets. So especially, I mean, it's going over my voice, my mind, my expression, my femininity, my whole identity. So I was raised, when my mother was single after my dad left, she raised me to be the man of the house, and she robbed me of my femininity. And in that moment when she told me I was too much, it felt like she was trying to do it again. And I got so upset, but I took a step back and I didn't retaliate verbally like that. I tried to understand why she was shaming me, so I asked her, why does shame have to be involved? Of course, I wasn't satisfied with my answer. My natal chart, my math, my map of life is playing out exactly as it should, down to the uterus. I'm having issues getting a clear diagnosis about the shape of my uterus. So it's threatening every aspect of my femininity, and I'm having to show up the way I am in front of you every single day, naked. Regardless. Now, am I fighting every ounce of, am I enough or am I too much? Absolutely. And I'm right with you. There's a lot of people that have this inside them, and only they're too scared to do what I'm doing and being vulnerable out loud. I just want to say, like, we can get on that call if you want to, but that's not what this is about today. This is just a framework for further discussion, all right? I feel like this is a really deep-seated issue with more people than just me, because I'm watching it play out everywhere around me, where people are afraid of success, so they're pushing it away, or they're afraid they're not enough, so they're pushing it away. And either way, the result is the same. No expression is being had. No vulnerability is being had, and everybody's afraid for different reasons. So, when I'm thinking about Taurus energy, Moon going into Pisces, Neptune's about to go into Aries, Mars is already there. We still have a concentration of expression and emotion and spirituality all coming up really deeply. People try to suppress what they're afraid of in other people, or people get cringe when other people are just being real. We see all of those meme fucking pages where they're literally making fun of people for being their version of authentic. And it might be weird. That's what everybody's afraid of, though. They don't want to be the butt of a joke. They don't want to have pranks pulled on them. They don't want to have be exploited or taken for granted or taken advantage of. And I've had all those things fucking happen. It happens. But doesn't stop me. I just show up louder as myself because I don't know who else to be. Whether it's too much or I have to be afraid of, upsetting somebody with it. Like, we don't have a choice. You might ask me how I show up for you every day with all these neurosis. Ooh, I saw some weird shit behind me. How do I show up like this? All kooky and shit. I disassociate. I act like I'm talking to myself and nobody's listening. And nobody might be. But somebody might be, and it might help them. So I show up. As weird as I am, as cringe as I could be, as weird and triggering as it might be for people, as too much as it might be for some others. I'm not afraid of success. I'm just afraid of an unrealized life. lived in the shadows of generations of trauma. I don't want that for me, and I don't want that for you. I love you guys. Happy Friday.